Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Today we're going to be discussing these charts all being linked together. I'm not just talking about Bitcoin. I'm not just talking about specific time frames. I'm talking about Ethereum, total cryptocurrency market cap, Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin weekly chart, monthly chart, daily chart, hourly chart. They're all linked, right? Nothing is random. Everything happens for a reason. And there's a reason why 24.5K to 25.2K, that support block is so strong. And everything is really coming to a head as we see all these indicators, all these moving averages come together in one specific location. It is indicative of something happening very soon, either a big bounce for a third leg or a big drop below. We'll be discussing all of that in the video. 50-week SMA specifically is something new I want to bring up. We're also going to be looking into FTX FUD. There have been news articles that have released. There have been statements that have been made saying that FTX will be liquidating $3.4 billion in cryptocurrency. We'll be looking into whether that is true and how true it actually is and whether it will actually lead to downside price action or if it's just over-exaggerated news like usual. Then we'll end the video off by answering about 5 to 10 questions from the YouTube community. I made a post recently asking for questions about Bitcoin. We're answering questions all the way from, what do you think about Bitcoin right now to what do you think about bull run targets, halving targets. We're answering questions about my trading strategies. All of that's at the end of the video. Guys, big one today. It's going to take about 30 minutes to get through. I won't waste any more time on the intro. Let's get into it. Alright guys, the charts we'll be looking at today are the Bitcoin daily chart. We'll be discussing the fact that we're still on support, but we are actually breaking down from an RSI support line. That is slightly worrying. We've also got a death cross coming in on a daily chart. We'll look at all this in a second. It might not be what it looks like. We then have hourly chart we'll look into briefly. Unfortunately, there's not too many short-term structures forming that are particularly interesting, but it is worth looking at. We do have a weekly chart as well. We have obviously the usual Gaussian channel, the bull market support band, looking into those, looking into the historical viability of both of those things, as well as this week as well, the 50-week SMA. 50-week SMA has previously been one of the most accurate 1-week indicators on Bitcoin. Generally, when we get above it, we go into a bullish market. Generally, when we get below it, we go into a bearish market. There's been very few exceptions of that, so we'll look into that as well. And I haven't really discussed that too much on the channel, recently at least. We then have weekly chart ranges. We'll start there actually, as well as an RSI support line. We then have monthly chart from two different perspectives, looking into how strong that 24.5K support is and how versatile it is, spanning across multiple charts. And finally, we'll end up by looking at Ethereum as well. Ultimately, there are a few things that are worrying me right now, a few things that are concerning me, and we'll have to kind of look into that. And then finally, we'll look into a news article about FTX liquidating its assets and whether that will cause selling pressure for the market as well, because that's been a bit of FUD going around recently. So we'll look into all those things. Guys, before we get into the video at all, check out the Bitget exchange and check out the BingX exchange. Now, check out the Bitget exchange if you want a KYC exchange that is available everywhere except for the USA, Canada, and Singapore. So globally except for the USA, Canada, and Singapore, it's a KYC exchange. You link your identity to the exchange, and you can trade off this exchange for very low trading fees. They've got excellent reserves information released. They've got a protection fund. If something does happen to the exchange, you can apply for a refund on your lost funds, etc. There's lots of things in place like that. It is a great exchange. You can sign up using my referral link for a 15% trading fee discount. And then more broadly, to everyone watching this channel, you can sign up to BingX, which is a non-KYC exchange. All you need is an email address and a password to sign up. You can sign up non-KYC. It's got all the same features as Bitget pretty much. And it's excellent fees as well. Again, 15% trading fee discount with my referral link and access to this promotion where you can spin this wheel for your USDT cash bonus. Guys, without further ado, let's get into the video. I also just want to quickly mention we do have questions that we want to answer. For example, as you can see, I've written a post here in the community YouTube page, and we have a bunch of questions that I'll answer for you guys at the end of the video. So stick around for that if you're interested in hearing responses to some of these questions. But yeah, let's get into it now. The best place to start these videos is always this chart here, and it always will be this chart here so long as we're above 24.5K. This is the range-bound construction chart on Bitcoin. It's analyzing where the ranges are, right? We have three distinctive ranges on Bitcoin. We have this red range, this orange range, and this green range. Obviously, moving into a range or moving below the current range will be bearish for Bitcoin. For example, moving below 24.5K will be bearish for Bitcoin because it means we'll re-enter this previous range, which means we're going to face strong resistance at the place we're facing for support right now, right? So what we don't want to do on Bitcoin is moving into the previous range. Hence, we don't want to break below 24.5k. That's very clear. I'm not going to spend too much time analyzing this chart because everyone already knows about this by now. Everyone already knows that 24.5k to 25.2k is the major support zone that Bitcoin is looking at. I'm just showing it to you from this chart so you can get a good perspective. Look, we tested it here. Tested it 3 times for resistance, went above it, tested it 2 times for support. Right now we're on it for support, right? It's very clearly a very important level. It really is the line in the sand for Bitcoin. It's what separates this price range from this price range, 24.5k. So really, I mean, if we go below it, what are we doing? We're forming a double top formation. That's bearish. There's going to be, more implied selling pressure. We really want to stay above it. We know that by now. Everyone knows that by now. But I do want to look into as well the RSI. On the weekly chart. RSI on the weekly chart is forming an uptrending support line that has been tested on 3 occasions now, but we tested it on a wick back here as well. As you can see, we are holding that support line, and as you can probably tell, if we lose 24.5k, we will lose this support line. But it also tells us that 24.5k is supported by this RSI support line. So it's good to see that we have an extra factor of support there on the weekly chart, and we haven't lost that yet, which means we haven't confirmed any sort of breakdown yet at all. And right now, we're just on very strong support, and the same can be said about the daily chart from a charting perspective, but interestingly enough, it can't be said about the daily chart from an RSI perspective. The daily chart RSI, which is forming since around the 22nd of August, not even close to being as important as the weekly one, right, which has been forming for over a year, but it is too interesting, has broken down. Perhaps that was due to the fact that the line's trajectory was just too strong. Who knows, but we have broken down from that. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That could potentially materialize into a downwards move. We'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't say that, any proper alarm bells are going off, to be honest. I think that it's just a small, bearish, piece of data, I suppose, but I don't think it's really that important. I'm not going to trust a one-day RSI line that's been forming for just over 2 weeks to predict a breakdown from a level that we've held for 6 months. You know what I mean? It's just not enough to really make any sort of prediction based off, but it's certainly not a good thing. That's not what we want to be seeing. But what we do want to be seeing is a break above this yellow line on the RSI. As you can see, if we see a break above that, that's very likely that Bitcoin will bounce upwards and start breaking through some of these yellow line resistances. But as of right now, we haven't seen that, and as of right now, we do have some bearish pressure implied by that daily. And so perhaps we are in a bit of a dangerous spot here for the daily chart. Perhaps it's indicative of a move coming soon. We do have a def cross as well. Def crosses, of course, are not good. It's where the 50 SMA crosses underneath the 200 SMA. But luckily enough for us, the last couple of def crosses we've had on the daily chart haven't really been indicative of much at all. I mean, yeah, we had a def cross over here. We saw a sharp correction because of it. But overall, I mean, you look what the long term was, over the 3 or 4 months that followed, we went upwards, right? It's not like the def cross was really the end of the world. We can say the same thing about this period in 2021. Okay, we saw a def cross. Yeah, we went down short term, but overall, we actually went upwards after it. And if we go back throughout the entire history of Bitcoin, that's really been the case with daily chart def crosses. For example, COVID-19 def cross went upwards. So, I don't think the daily chart def crosses are accurate in any real sense at all. I think you're looking at 3-day chart and weekly chart as the kind of more valid def crosses. So I think we can almost just go ahead and disregard it. It's obviously not a good thing. It's certainly not positive, but I don't think it's really as any degree of confidence in it actually leading to anything. Perhaps it leads to a move, but the direction of which is, we're unsure of that. We just have to look historically, and historically it hasn't worked. Because that's all TA is, right? You have to remember that. That's all technical analysis is. All technical analysis is looking at what things have happened, looking at what's happened, and then looking at what the price does. That's all it is. So if we've looked at what's happened, like we just did, and the price doesn't really do anything in particular, then how can we be confident that indicator is reliable? We can't. But as of right now, I'd be a little bit concerned just because of the RSI with the def cross. It's like 2 bearish things, both of which aren't particularly important, but together they make some degree of importance. It is worth looking at Bitcoin right now and just really just keeping an eye on it. Because look, and you got hourly chart as well. We're still on support in the hourly chart. We're still very much above the 25.4k. We've still got an uptrending yellow support line. It's not like we're in immediate danger, but perhaps these things are indicative of a danger that is to come. Again, there's no way to find out except for waiting and seeing. As of right now, all we can say is we're still on support. I want to tie a few things together for you, though. A lot of people think that, well, I don't think a lot of people think this, but I think a lot of people don't understand to the extent of which it is true. It's probably the more accurate saying. These charts are all connected, guys. They're all connected. You know, we've seen the daily chart 24.5k. We've seen the weekly chart, this RSI line supporting 24.5k. Now we need to look into a few more things. What else do we have supporting 24.5k? We have the Gaussian channel center line. Where is that sitting? 24.5k. We have the 50-week SMA. Where is that sitting? 24.5k. I've looked at the Gaussian channel in the past. I'm not going to waste your time looking at it again. What we do know about it, just very briefly, is that it's a very strong indicator. When we enter the Gaussian channel, we generally can continue in the direction in which we entered very strongly. So we entered through here, we continue. As you can see, we move through this thing like it's water. We just dash through it every time. Right now, we've moved through it. We haven't seen the upside move that we are historically valid to expect, and so it is a little bit of a bullish sign, and perhaps it's more indicative of the fact that it might hold than it will drop below, right? Because there's a trend that exists and the trend hasn't played out yet. The trend suggests we go upwards. But another thing I want to look at that we haven't really looked at all in the weekly chart that much is the 50-week SMA. This is a very underrated support line. Okay, it's a support and resistance line. As you can see, we've tested it for resistance and support ever since the inception of Bitcoin. Basically, this is probably the wrong chart to look at. Price history of it actually goes back a little bit further, but it's not really necessary for the sake of this video and what I'm trying to show you. Fact of the matter is, it's very strong resistance and support. And you know, when we bounce off of it, we bounce quite strongly. When we drop below it, we go below it, right? Quite strongly, and we see resistance, support, flips, etc. The whole 9 yards, right? Even during the first initial move of 2019, just after the bear market, we tested for resistance. When we finally breached above it, we saw the second leg, right? We tested for support here. We only dropped below it really because of COVID. This was the thing that was holding Bitcoin upwards during the entire bear market, right? When we get above it again, we held it and we go upwards. And even during 2021, right? During the big correction of 2021 that everyone was shaking in their boots over, what did we do? We came down and we bottomed out on the 50-week SMA before seeing another leg to the upside. We bottomed out on the 50-week SMA. Yeah, we dropped below it there, but when did we get back above it? We came upwards, we saw a resistance support flip, and we went downwards more, right? Resistance after the first leg. We saw the second leg when we got above it. The fact of the matter is, as you can see on every single interaction we've had with this line, essentially, besides like one of them, it's been very, very important. And so, guess what? It's also supporting 24.5k. What does that mean? It means that 24.5k is not only a strong line of a horizontal chart, it's also a strong line through all these moving averages. Gaussian channel, 50-week SMA, RSIs, we'll look at monthly in a second. But, it means that if we go down and we test this for support, it's not actually bad at all. It could be good. The thing that would be bad is losing it, because losing it historically leads to massive downside price action. We really want to be holding that 50-week SMA, and guess where it is? 24.5k. Therefore, we really want to be holding 24.5k. But we already know that, right? I'm just displaying how, connected all these charts are. There's a reason for all these lines accumulating in one place at one time. It's not random. It's not a coincidence. There's a reason why the Gaussian channel is here. There's a reason why the 50-week SMA is here. There's a reason why the horizontal support is. There's a reason the RSI is in the right position at the right time. It's not just all random. The market is much more planned out and much more timed than you think. Okay, it's not a random market. Things happen for a reason. And luckily, right, cool, it could be based on manipulation, whatever. The fact of the matter is, TA helps us predict where it's going. And that's, shown in the fact that 24.5k is as supported as it is. That's TA right there. That's TA in progress, in action, as you can see. And that's why TA works. We know TA works for that reason. All these lines don't just come together like that for no reason. There's a reason for that, okay? And will it be a reason in which we see a massive, huge spring upwards in third leg? Or will it be a reason in which we see a more extended downside price action on Bitcoin lasting for the rest of the year? That's the question. And unfortunately, that question is very difficult to answer because all the questions we can answer about Bitcoin rely on macro cyclical data, and there's no cyclical data to suggest what would happen here because we haven't seen enough data cyclically for this point in the cycle, unfortunately. We've only seen it twice. So yeah, it just really is one of those questions. Do we hold it or do we drop below it? And unfortunately, there's not really much clarity I can give you on that. If I was to be forced at gunpoint under very ridiculous circumstances to make a decision, I would probably say that we would go below it, but I'm honestly not convinced in that. And I'm not convinced in that enough to justify having a strong opinion on it at all. I think that the best opinion you can have and the best thing you can possibly do is say, guess what? It's not lost yet, so we're going to act like it's not lost. That's what you do. You be breakout traders. Right now, I'm not making any decisions on Bitcoin based on my personal opinion on the market structure. I make decisions based on what happens, based on what is broken and based on what is gained and held. That is when you make decisions. So my very, very, very slightly bearish lean, which really is not that bearish at all, it's like 60%, okay, is not at all enticing me to make any sort of particular financial decision on Bitcoin right now. I will make the same decision if I was bullish than if I was bearish, hence my opinion doesn't matter. And that's what I want you guys to understand. Your opinion doesn't mean a thing. The only thing that matters is what happens and how you react to it. You do not make money in the market based on what you think. That is not how life works. That's not how trading works. You make money based on what you do. And that's why I don't like emphasizing my opinions, because my opinions don't matter. What matters is how you can react to a situation. And obviously the best reaction you can have right now is selling if we drop below 24.5k, or holding currently because we're on support, or buying if we move upwards. That's simply all you should be doing. Those are the three movements you can make, and none of them are based on what I think or what you think or what anyone thinks. It's based on what will happen. Very important to note. And I do want to clarify, because a lot of people are going to ignore everything I just said and say Wolf is bearish. As I said, I'm really not bearish. I'm very much neutral in the market right now. I don't know what's going to happen next. If I was forced to choose, I would say probably more likely to be bearish, but I don't think the TA is very much predictable right now. Usually it is. There's no market pattern right now. We have no market pattern on the short term. There's nothing I can say about the short term that shows bearish or bullish market patterns. Right now we're still on support. How can I say definitively I'm bearish and bullish? If this was a, bearish pennant formation, or if it was a ascending wedge or something like that, then I could say, okay, I'm bearish, but there's no market pattern. It's simply blind guessing. And so no, my opinion is not strong right now. I have no real valid opinion. It's all neutral. I'm reacting rather than predicting at this point in time. And that's what you should be doing as well, in my opinion, because if I can't see the TA as someone who spends 10 hours a day looking at charts, I don't think you can. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. And that's just honesty. And you can take it as offense if you want, but that's honesty. This is, you're listening to someone who spends 10 hours a day looking at charts. If I can't identify the patterns, it's very unlikely that someone else can. And that's not to say I'm right all the time. I'm just saying that's objectively true. Moving forward, and just briefly moving forward here, we're not going to spend too much time on this. It's really emphasizing the same point. Yeah, we've broken down on the monthly chart. We've broken down from the red line on the monthly chart. That was a support line we held for a while. It was a resistance line we tested for a while. But right now, what are we doing? We're testing the 50-week SMA, 50-month EMA, which is, again, not so coincidentally, sitting at 24.5k. There's a reason for all of these things, right? There's a reason for it. And we're testing it right now. We haven't dropped below it. If we drop below it, that's going to be bad. And it will lead to a chain reaction of explosions in the Bitcoin chart, basically, that will send us downwards. It really is right now, on thin ice. It's on the edge of a cliff, but it hasn't made the move yet, hasn't made the jump yet. And monthly chart on this perspective is the same thing. We have a RSI trend on the monthly chart. Look to the bottom of the screen. You'll see the RSI line and the yellow line. The yellow line is the 14 moving average. We see bearish and bullish crosses between the yellow line and the RSI line, which lead to bearish and bullish price action on Bitcoin. Right now, we're on the verge of seeing a bearish cross, but we will not see that bearish cross unless we move further downside in the price. And we can only move further downside in the price if we drop below 24.5k. Fact of the matter is, all these charts, the monthly chart RSI, the monthly chart itself, a weekly chart from multiple different perspectives, the daily chart, the weekly chart RSI, all these charts are connected. Same thing even with Ethereum, right? Ethereum, we have a logarithmic chart, an uptrending support line stemming back from June 2022, tested again in November. The support right now is just below the current price. It's sitting at 1,560. And so, again, if we drop below that, we drop below the yellow line, what's that going to lead to? Well, it's going to lead to a drop below on Bitcoin and everything going to break down. But right now, we're still on support. And this is why I said what I said. I can't really have a strong opinion on Bitcoin right now when we're right on top of support. Why would I not just, what is the benefit of me sitting here and saying that I'm bearish on Bitcoin? There's no benefit in me doing that, because my reaction is going to be the same if we drop down 4%. Why would I not just wait for the 4% drop below a 6-month support zone, or below a region that's been tested for over a year? Just wait for 4%. There's no reason to act now. I'm being serious. There's actually no reason to be acting right now. There really isn't. Wait for a break above this yellow line. Wait for a break above like 27, or wait for a break below 24. That's when you act. Why would you act now in the middle? It's dumb. You're just gambling. Go to the casino. Go play some blackjack. You know what I mean? If you want to gamble. It baffles me how people are so willing to make decisions on such major price levels. It's like, it wouldn't be a major price level if it wasn't a confusing price level. It wouldn't be a major price level if people knew what was going to happen at the price level. That's literally going against the definition of it being a major price level. Do you understand what I mean? So yeah, I think, that's my opinion on Bitcoin, really. I do want to look into this FTX news as well. Before we do that, I want to briefly check out the VIP group. Go to Telegram and go to the VIP information and results group. You can join this group for free. It will show you everything you need to know about VIP, including what we offer you, including the prices, including the formatting as well. You also open up this PDF document, which shows you the trading results for every single VIP trade we've taken. And then finally, a little update to the VIP group we've made recently, adding in a few things, adding in a VIP group chat, adding in market updates, adding in trading tips, all occasional, but still free of charge. I mean, we didn't raise the price based on that. Those are just new bonuses added to the group. I'm really trying to turn this into a proper community. The group chat currently is thriving, and I'd like to see a few more of you guys in there if you're interested. So go ahead and check that out. And now we'll head into this news article here. Now, this is going to be a brief little analysis of this news article, but I do think it's important because it has been pretty much putting a lot of FUD in the market. And basically, FTX has been granted approval to liquidate the assets it has, and has quite a few assets, right? It has, I think, 3 billion or something like that, right? So quite a lot of assets, 3.4 billion worth of crypto. Here's the distribution of what they have. Mostly in random altcoins, basically, mostly in Solana, mostly in their native coin, not much in Bitcoin, only 268 million in Bitcoin, 90 million in Ethereum. People are saying this is going to lead to downside price action in the market, but if they actually did the maths and they looked at what they were planning to do, you can see the exchange plans to sell up $200 million worth of crypto every week. It only has $268 million worth of Bitcoin, which isn't even enough to make a 0.1% move on Bitcoin charts, and it's not even going to plan to sell it all at once. It's planning 200 million per week, probably going to be evenly distributed throughout the coins. There's going to be very, very, very little selling pressure applied to Bitcoin based on this. It will mostly be on random altcoins, most likely. So, and even then, it's not going to be that major. So, don't worry about things like this. These things are irrelevant. Obviously, it's done in a way. There's a reason why they put a limit, right? They put a $200 million limit per week of what they're selling. There's a reason they've done that. They've done that so it doesn't crash the market, right? They don't just crash markets. It's not how, life works. They're not allowed to do that. They're already under enough legal trouble as is. They don't need more of this. They don't need more accusations of market manipulation or anything. That's the last thing they need. So, I wouldn't be concerned about this in the slightest. Literally would not be concerned about this at all. This reminds me very much of a Mt. Gox situation we had last year. Everyone said, oh, Mt. Gox is releasing their coins. Everyone's going to sell at once. It's going to lead to price jumps. That didn't happen. That's not how the market works. And honestly speaking, $268 million worth of Bitcoin actually is not much in the larger scheme of things. It's massive for one entity to have, but it's really not much, from a market perspective. As I said, it won't even lead to it lead to less than 0.5% downside price action, even less than that, probably. Yeah, there are chain reactions, etc. But again, there's a reason they do it in these quantities. There's a reason they're allowed to do this in these quantities. It's for the reason of not affecting the market too much. All right, let's answer a few questions. I'm not going to bring up charts for them unless it's absolutely necessary. I will just answer them verbally. But what we have is multiple questions here. I'll choose a few of them. Right now, we have the first one by Harrison. I can't say that. Kristen. I think it's meant to be Kristen, but it's just without the C. So Kristen without the C asks the question. He says, I would like to hear upfront your bull run selling strategy. He says, I know it may be a little bit early, but this kind of thing needs to be thought about well upfront. That is correct, it does. My bull run selling strategy is basically as follows. I believe that when Bitcoin dominance begins to drop and when altcoin dominance begins to rise during the bull market in 2024 or 2025, I will be distributing, what's the word for it? I would be swapping out basically my Bitcoin for more of a percentage in altcoins. So the Bitcoin I currently have will be sold. I will shift into altcoins, big coins like Ethereum, as well as smaller coins, taking advantage of the fact that altcoins will be gaining dominance in the market and Bitcoin will be going down in dominance, meaning that altcoins will be outperforming Bitcoin. And then when the peak occurs, which we know when it's going to be, okay, as per 4-year cycle, most likely Q4 2025, unless there's something that dramatically changes that indicates something else, I will be selling everything essentially and potentially entering short positions. So it's very simple. It's starting out with a large Bitcoin allocation, shifting more into an altcoin allocation, and then after the altcoin season, getting out. And obviously there's going to be short-term moves that we need to take advantage of. There's going to be short-term swings where Bitcoin are more important than altcoins, etc. We'll have to take advantage of that at the time. We can't really predict that happening, but generally speaking, if we're speaking historically, which is the only thing we can go off, the best thing you can do in a bull market, the most profitable thing you can do in a bull market is start out heavy in Bitcoin, shift heavy into altcoins, and then get out. That's what you can do, and that's the strategy I'll be aiming for. So a similar question is asked here. He says, thoughts on going all in on Bitcoin and Ethereum, then selling once you have a 2x and putting everything into mid and micro caps. basically already answered that in the last question. I don't think you should be looking for a particular number. I don't think you should be looking for a particular 2x because it might cause you to hold longer than you should or sell before you should. I think what you should really be looking at is the Bitcoin dominance chart as well as Bitcoin price charts and charts in general, right? Don't look for a specific number because the charts don't care about a number you have in your head. That's the simple reality. So I've answered that question above quite well. What's up, Wolf? Your low, medium, and high price predictions from now until the halving. Until the halving is a difficult question. We don't have enough data to say basically until the halving. I have made formulas in the past that suggest 39k at the halving. I think that's reasonable. I have made formulas in the past that suggest a new all-time high between April and November this next year, and I think that's reasonable as well. All in all, what I can say is that I do believe Bitcoin will be seeing an all-time high in 2024. I do believe that, and I believe at the latest it would be November. All-time high in 2024. I think that's pretty well supported. I'd be surprised if we didn't see that. Will you short the market when it reaches its peak? I mean, yes. If the data, if the chart suggests that, of course. I mean, that's something you should aim to do, of course. But it's kind of a almost not very easy question to answer because it's very vague. It's like, yeah, of course I'll try my best to short when it's necessary to short. Of course, yes. What are the chances that Bitcoin doesn't see a 4-year cycle or doesn't follow the 4-year cycle and won't see a bull run? I think that question is literally impossible to answer because it would be a blind guess, and I'm not about blind guessing as I've explained in this video. As of right now, we have a trend on Bitcoin that exists. The trend has played out 3 separate times. The trend has no indication that it's not playing out right now. We have every indication that it's a valid trend still, and therefore that is the trend we need to follow. I don't think that the percentage chance that I personally think it won't play out is really relevant at all because that would be based on nothing. I'm basing my observation of a trend on the trend that objectively exists. My opinion on whether the trend will continue or not, with no data present that it won't continue, is not relevant. And I don't even think I have an opinion. I don't even have, I just react. I don't have an opinion whether it's going to, eventually it will probably break, right? But I don't know when that's going to be. I don't think anyone does because there's no indication, there's no data. People say, oh yeah, we're in a recession or whatever. People have been saying that for a year and a half, 2 years now. It's still perfectly working. We've seen Bitcoin correlations dramatically decline to traditional markets. I don't think that we have we have a recession now, new lows, etc. I don't think that has any weight in reality. The reality is what is shown on the charts, and the charts are very much showing an active trend. So there is a chance, there's always a chance, nothing is certain. I won't say that it's certain it's going to follow it. I don't think it's certain, but I think it's more likely than not, just based on the trend of being there in itself. That's all we can go off. So I don't really have a percentage opinion on it. I will say that there is certainly a chance, as there always is with these trends. Certainty doesn't exist in the market. If we get lower, if we get, start breaking below price levels, particularly if we drop below 18.2k, then I would say it's very likely that the 4-year cycle is broken. But at this point, I don't think that. I don't think we have the relevant charting evidence. Do you have any eyes on crypto-related stocks? No, I don't. Your thoughts and ideas on swing trading BTC with trades that will run for days and weeks where you only take longs and don't sell losses? In other words, do you hold when your trade is in the negative? I have to read that question again. Hold on. Unfortunately, I don't really understand that question, AJ. Perhaps you can write it again in the comment section. I'll answer it there. How likely is Bitcoin to reach 100k in 2025? I believe that it's very likely that Bitcoin reaches 100k in 2025. I think that, perhaps we won't see something ridiculous like 500k or like 400k. I think those are way too optimistic. I think that's honestly quite ridiculous. But I do definitely see a scenario in which we reach 100k. Probably. I think I've done analysis in the past. I've made observations in the past that say Bitcoin will reach anywhere between 103,000 and 190 something thousand. And obviously that's vague for a reason. It's vague because it's hard to predict. We just don't have much data. But yeah, I think 100k is definitely on the table for 2025 for sure. According to Silver Trill, Crypto Career University has made more predictions on Bitcoin based on his 5.3 theory. I have responded to that a couple times in the past. Perhaps I'll need to look up on what he said and respond to it again. I'll like to do that by actually watching his videos. I won't take his word. I won't take your word for what he said because it's a pretty big deal making a debunk or response video. So I'll have to look into what he actually said recently, and I'll do that today. Super long-term thoughts on Bitcoin and XRP. I don't care much about XRP. I don't have much opinions on XRP long-term. I know that they're working with central bank digital currencies, etc. I don't look at the XRP chart very often at all, so I can't give you any really educated opinion on that. Perhaps during the bull market when I see altcoins is more relevant, I will. As of right now, I don't have any opinions on it that I'm, willing to share just based on my lack of knowledge. Bitcoin, I think I've made my opinion very clear. We're following a 4-year cycle. I believe that it is valid until it's not, and therefore I believe there will be a bull run starting after the halving. FTX, we discussed that in this video, and when 12K, well, potentially never. We'll see. That's my responses to your questions there. If you have any more, leave them in the comment section below. Guys, I think I'm going to end the video there. Check out the Crypto Academy. Become a trader 10-unit course. This will tell you everything you need to know about trading. Literally, I mean that. Go through the unit topics on the website and you can see what I mean when I say that. We're going through concepts, we're going through technical analysis, we're going through market psychology, how to find trades, risk management, all that kind of stuff. Everything you really need, to be honest, or the vast majority of what you really need. All the information's on the website. Throw us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com and we'll get back to you with all the payment information and all answers to any questions you might have as well. So guys, again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Bitget, BingX, Crypto Academy, it's all in the comment section below, VIP group, and the description below. Check it all out. Thank you for watching. Cheers.